Ah, there's the right orientation. Hey there, Professor Nolte. I made a bunch of videos, maybe like three or four, and I say three or four because the first one seems to start in the middle. I think I made another one and erased it, and I looked for it, and well, it sort of starts in the middle. Everything starts in the middle. That's that's my life. When I think of songs, I think of the B section. Well, anyway, I thought I would give you a little help and a little information about tuning your piano. Now, I let my instructors see the first two videos, which should have been the first three, but somehow I think the first one actually I did too much playing to actually present. I played some chords and well, it's out there. If you want to look at it, you can look at it. You are now part of a zibaldone, and a zibaldone is basically a musical diary. But since I don't write, I can't transcribe. I'm barely learning to read. Um, I shoot videos, and I record myself. And I figured, well, as long as I'm recording myself playing, I need to improve on tuning. Let me do both. And after doing both for a while, I thought of just improving on the sound quality of what you're supposed to hear. Most of the videos that I've watched are by registered piano technicians, and they're far away because from the piano because you have to see them, but you don't hear what you would hear at the piano. It's like your microphone. Your microphone, I love your microphone because that's the way you're supposed to. That's the way you hear when you're at the dampers. Now I don't know if the earthworks picks up your voice or it's not supposed to pick up your voice, but when I shoot with my recorder and not this phone, I try to keep it really close to the dampers. In fact, I cause a little damage that way. We won't go into that. But I thought I would tell you about a few things. Like you asked, what's this? I got this red piece of. This is a temperament strip, and I didn't explain all the terms, and I have to do this one-handed. My tripod is I've got a cheap one, and all three legs are gone. So it's among a bunch of things I need to get, but I don't have the patience to wait for mail any longer. I spent a lot of time inside waiting for mail the last two summers. I don't want to do it anymore. So a temperament strip. Okay, a temperament is basically a tuning template. Um, it's 12 chromatic notes, all in an octave, all together, but in strings. So what the temperament strip does is you put the strip, again, I try to do this, can't do this one-handed, but you put the strip between the strings. Okay, there we go. You put the strip between the strings, like that. Well, maybe not that tight or whatever. And then you leave a little loop, and you put the. Oh, maybe I can. Okay, I can. Well, no, I won't spend a lot of time trying, but you get the idea. And you do that for 12 notes, starting. Preferably, some people start at F, some people start at A, but it's easiest to start at A440. And you see there's the damper right there. You mute off, make sure, to set a temperament, you make sure that that center string is at A440. Now, I measured it a couple of days ago. It can't be too far off, because that's not one of the strings that drift. But you mute that off. So effectively, no, I don't do it that way. You would then mute off, let me start back. You would then mute off 12 notes. And you would find the pitch for A440. Again, right there. And then you would do the same for the next 11 strings. And get this out of the way. You do the same for the next 11 strings. And there you have your musical template for doing a pitch raise. That's a pitch raise is when you make sure that the pitch of each string is what it's supposed to be. Like this is A440. There are 3 strings. If one of those strings were far enough off of A440, you would hear it and that would be out of tune. So what we try to do is make sure that every string is tuned to within 1 cent of the string next to it in that key. So you would do that for 12 notes, and then you move the temperament strip either up or down another 12 notes and match that center string in that group of 12 to the next related string, an octave higher. And then you do that all the way up and down the piano. Then you match center to left and center to right. And that gives you, when you match 2 strings of the same frequency, that's a unison. Similar to 2 octaves, when you make an octave, that's a unison. But in tuning, 2 notes of the same frequency is a unison, or 3 notes, because most of the 3 strings, most of the piano is 3 strings. So what I use are mutes. I don't use the strip because it seems a little awkward, and all I really wanted to do most of the time is fix a string or 2, and that's what you want to do. If you can fix a note or 2 here or there, and the tuner only shows up every 6 weeks instead of every month, then you save, 30%, 33% actually, because he doesn't have to come as often. So if you can stretch it out, and when he comes, you ask questions, and well, this is just the introduction, because that you'd like to know. The other lessons, the other videos kind of put things together a little bit more smoothly. Well, I try to, but I don't give a great introduction. So, that's, in the video I thought I shot, that's what I thought I left. That's what I thought I put in. Okay, so this piano, I got it cheaply because you see all these pins, and beneath this plate is several layers of laminated wood pressed together called a pin block. And when the grip on the pins isn't as great as it was when the piano was new, it creates issues, and the notes slip a little bit more easily than they did. And that's why I got this piano for such a great price, because I have to keep tuning it. But the tone, I just love it. So, one of the solutions I have to get a pin setter. That's something that goes over the pin, and you hit it with a hammer and knocks the pin a little bit deeper into hopefully new wood, and then it makes it nice and snug. And but I haven't had the nerve to do that yet. I did that crudely with one note, and it got it from sounding like a horn to more like a string. It's this E. Believe me, that's a lot better than it used to be, than it was 10 months ago. Okay. See, there's between 210 and 230 strings on the piano, depending on what you have. And there's the 18 to 20 tons of tension created by the strings going around the hitch pin. And if there's one tip you need to know about tuning pianos that they don't tell you, you kind of figure it out, and most people don't tell you. One guy does. Is that unless you have a new, I think they're Bosendorfers, who have 4 strings to each note, and each string has a separate loop. Like the bass strings, there's only one string, so it gets one hitch pin. But most of the others, like the bichords, these that only have 2, they go up and around. So here, when you tune, you're only tuning one string. Here, when you tune a note, since they're paired, and when you have 2 strings, it's called a bichord. When you tune a bichord, you're tuning 2 strings looped around one hitch pin. But when you get to the trichords, you're actually tuning 4 strings. And this is how you messed up your piano. Because there were 3 strings, but 2 hitch pins. So if there are 2 hitch pins, you're tuning 4 strings. You're tuning 3 strings on one note and 1 string on the next. The point at which, when you have vibrations, the point at which there is no sound is called node. You'll watch that later. The node is at the end of the hitch pin. But when you adjust one string, you're changing the tension on the other. So that's probably what messed you up. The rest of the videos kind of just is me just turning on the video and talking a little bit and letting you hear what you're supposed to hear. And because I didn't know what a good unison sounds like. And I didn't know, the difference between good tuning and one that's close to good. And believe me, it makes a big difference. All right, 15 minutes, that's enough without actually doing anything. I'll get to you next time. Take care.